Originally, back in 1935, when they created the Social Security system, back in the Great Depression, when many people were living in poverty, they wanted an insurance program to insure against poverty, essentially. And so their target, what they thought would work, would be, you withhold a little bit out of every paycheck, and ultimately, when you retire, they can give you about 40% of your average earnings. That would have worked fine back in 1935 because life expectancy back then wasn't what it is now. And so you paying 6.2%, your employer kicking in 6.2%, got us to an amount that actually would cover old age in retirement or survivor's benefits or disability. There's a lot of things that are covered. The way the 40% didn't work when they took a look at it was for the people actually living their entire life in poverty. Let's say your average earnings was $1,000 a month today. You couldn't live on $400 a month if Social Security was the only thing you had, which it is the only thing you would have if you would lived in poverty your whole life. So they came up with this three-tiered idea. They're going to do 90% of the first tier, let's say the first 1,000. It moves every year. It's adjusted for inflation every year, but 1,000 is in the ballpark of where we're at. So let's say somebody earns their average earnings $1,000 a month. Social Security is going to give them $900 a month. That's insurance against poverty. I mean, the next tier is, let's say, 1,000 to 6,000. So the next $5,000 of earnings is going to get 32% applied. So overall, the percentage is going way down. An enormous jump from 90% to 32%. And on average, it's getting closer to overall 40%. But then there's a tier 3. You get above the $6,000 a month income range, and Social Security is going to add in 15% of that. And they're shooting for something that's what they thought was fair over the entire spectrum of incomes. And so ultimately, the highest earners, they get about 35% of their average earnings, indexed. It's indexed because, let's say, if you earn $1,000 in 1980, that's counted today at some other bigger number, let's say $3,000. I don't exactly know what the number is, but that's how it works. Every year, all of your income, all of your earnings get indexed. So we use this thing called the average index monthly earnings. So the reason it doesn't work, this whole three-tiered thing, is I think it was Nixon that allowed some entities, usually a governmental entity, to opt out of Social Security. They want to do their own thing. They want to do their own retirement thing. So those are non-covered earnings. They don't pay Social Security tax on those earnings. But those people that have all these non-covered earnings might also have some part-time job where they did pay Social Security tax on some earnings. And it's those earnings that get them into this thing where they have both the non-covered pension and the Social Security benefit. The problem is these small amount of earnings, the benefit calculation is going to give them 90% of these earnings, these average earnings. Because it looks to the Social Security system, it looks like they're living in poverty. If this is all they had, they certainly would be living in poverty. But they have all of this other income. Let's say somebody's earning $60,000 of non-covered earnings and $12,000 a year in FICA earnings or Social Security earnings. In that situation, the original framers of the Social Security Act would say that that person should not get 90% of their Social Security earnings. so they in 1977 they created the government pension offset, and in 1983 they passed the windfall elimination provision to get that 90% over here down to something closer to what the percentage the rest of us would get at those income levels if we paid Social Security taxes on everything, like most of us do. So that's what the windfall elimination provision is designed to do. It's to get it down to something that the Social Security Act is intending to provide. And the thing about it is, and I've heard different things on this too in articles or on the news, people are saying that, oh, that's not, sometimes they might go below what you should get. No, that never happens, ever, never. The way that's calculated, the windfall elimination provision, it only reduces the windfall somewhat. It never gets it down to the same percentage that if for somebody with $72,000 of Social Security earnings, the windfall elimination provision would never get it down to the same percentage that person is getting. So even with the windfall elimination provision, somebody that has a non-covered earning, they're going to get a higher share of the Social Security pie than they would if everything was considered, all the income was considered in the calculation. So now, though, the so-called Social Security Fairness Act is going to eliminate the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. So after they do that, these people with this pension over here and some earnings over here that they paid taxes on are going to get 90% again. That's what they're going to get. And what that amounts to is they're getting the highest percentage of their earnings, and they've contributed the least amount into the overall system. That's what it amounts to. And this is all at a time when we know, or at least the Governmental Accounting Office tells us, somewhere around 2034, 2035, something is going to have to be done. We're going to have to, all of us are going to have to experience some kind of a reduction in benefits, or somewhere along the road here, they're going to have to increase the percentage that people contribute, or prolong when they can file, like shoot it out there farther since we're living longer. All of those things have been bounced around in Congress. And, so now when they're going to increase the benefit unjustly for a group, they also have to be contemplating what they're going to do to keep the Social Security fund sound. How are they going to strengthen the fund so it lasts, so your kids and grandkids, still have a benefit to look forward to? That's the message that I just wanted to put out there. So thanks for your time. Good luck, everyone.